Okay. So if we had the information, we would like set the values to the like object this way. Can we define a different way to like deal with this when we already have the information? Before when we are starting like to like create the object and start using it, setting it up, do we have a different method, like a different way to do this? Yes, there's already there are different way to do this, and that is through constructor. Like constructor is like, think of a constructor like a delivery form. You hand over everything to the object needs up front, and it's ready to like go right away. Okay. So in order to do that, we need to like implement a different type, like different constructor. So initially we have a default constructor which doesn't have any parameters. It allows you to create an object without setting the values right away. And then like at different time, you will set the values to the object fields. But if you already know that like you're gonna like let's say some of the fields, the data will all exist, and you want to like set it up right away, then you can create constructors that can be called to set up those values right away when you're creating the object. Okay. So let's create and like add another constructor to the class. So I will go back to the class. Okay. I already have a default constructor without the parameter. I will create another constructor. Okay. Like the structure will be the same. A constructor will always be public. The access type will be public. The name of the constructor will be the same name as the class name, and it won't have a return type. Okay, it won't have a return type. So ticket, parentheses, okay. The difference between the constructor should be the number of parameters. So I want to create a different constructor. Okay, here, what happened? I initialized like I know that like I will have information about like the title, directory, number of ticket price, and ticket ID. When like the information already exists, I will need to have all this information at once. So let me create a method. It's a method, right? Create a method that gets this information and then like it stores the values in the like fields, or sets the values to the fields. So in that case, I will need the parameters to get the information, like as to pass the information through the parameters. You can name the parameter like different ways, but in that case, the way that I will use it, first of all, let's say one of the things that you will need to pass and initialize is the title. Let's say you will choose title 1, okay, and then say title equals title 1. It's a parameter. You're using it when you call the constructor, so you can pass the information about the title and then store it in the object field. Set it to the field. Can name it different way. The way that I use, and I go like when I use like create these constructors, is that I use the underline version. So just the same thing, like the name of the field, just add an underline before that for every like parameter. This is a parameter, and I go with that method. Okay. So in this case, I will go with an underline, like adding underline and then like the name of the field. So now I want to pass the other things. String title, string director. Okay, add the director, and then director goes, okay. I'll know that this one is the parameter, this one is the field. Class field parameter. Okay. So we use the parameter to like to will when call the method, so we can pass the information. You need to pass other information, which is like number of tickets. Okay. And then ticket ID and ticket price. Oh, it should have an underline. Okay, so number of tickets equal to number of tickets, ticket ID equals to underline ticket ID, and then ticket price equals to underline ticket price. Okay, we created the constructor and we can only use it to set the values. We will use the parameters to pass the information when we call it, and then set the values to the fields right away at once. Okay. So now that we have added this constructor to the class, to this template, we can go back to the program and actually use this constructor. So let me try and then. Okay, so I will go back to the program class. This was like the way that I would go if I didn't have that constructor. Now that I added the constructor, I don't need to like set these values at once, like one at a time. Okay, so for now, I will add this, like comment this part. Okay, comment this. And then I go back to here, add the parentheses. Once I create the object and add that parentheses, I will see one of two. That means there are two constructors here. Once you add the parentheses, you will see two constructors. What is the other constructor? The other constructor gets this as parameters. You can pass this information and it can initialize the object and set the values and store the values here. I'll go with that. The reason that I use this name, so it makes it easier for me to see the order that I need to pass that information, that data. Okay, so now I see the first one is title. Okay, the first one is title. The second one is the director. Okay, the third one is the number of tickets, and then ticket ID, and then ticket price. Okay. So you create the object and also like store the information that you already know inside the object. And then just calculate it, okay? So if you want to calculate the ticket and generate that result. You already have these fields. I'll use them like here, subtotal, tax amount. Since we already declared them, I don't need to declare them. Subtotal is ticket one dot subtotal. Okay. And then tax amount, ticket one dot calculate tax amount. Service amount, ticket one dot calculate service amount, and then total is ticket one total. And then output is ticket one dot generate the ticket. Console right line output. Okay. So because it's a template for ticket, we are doing the same thing for every ticket that we get. You're taking the same steps. To store the information is different this time. We already know the information. So like we use that to like initiate the object and also store the information. The rest of it is just the same. If you want to like calculate the total, you need to calculate the subtotal and then tax amount and the tax service and tax total. This time I just like use that like generate ticket, call that like method to generate the ticket and print it out. I didn't use this field, but still I use them to store the information in case I want to use them at a like continue, because the program could continue and like you might need like this to, let's say, like the you want to like print out separate, or you want to use it for a different visa. Okay, so you see the difference? The difference is that here we created the ticket with no parameters. Because it's no parameters is because we already added the constructor. What would happen if I didn't, at this point, I didn't have that constructor? Let's go back to see what happens. It will show you an error. It says there is only one constructor in this class, and that constructor has parameters. So you cannot create this type of object, the object in this method. You have to pass the information. By adding that constructor with no parameters, we allow this type of like object creation. So that's the importance of this, like this constructor here. Okay. Any question? Hey, so this is a great. We were able to complete this step by step. And this was like at least a good practice to actually implement this. You will see, like, first, before you go, you have a like, let's check the attendance. I have that here. But you have the two versions, with the object version as well as with the like just like the simple version, and you can check it after class. And just take the attendance, and that's it for today. Thank you. I'll see you on Friday. Where we talk, like, I'll give you time to work on that, like homework. I mean, in class practice. I'll give you about like half of the class to work on it, and then we'll work on it. Right. Thank you.